Hey, I'm Warren Sprouse. This is the Bible Forum. We're here every Sunday night from 8 until 10 Eastern, whether it's snowing or raining or whatever. We are here January 8th of 2017 in Charleston, South Carolina, and it's cold. If you were alive during that time period in the country, you were cold too. Everybody was, but we're not supposed to be. I want to talk to you a little bit tonight about the biblical doctrine of eschatology. Now, we're not going to get into all the details, but as you start to see things unfolding in the world, stuff starts to come together. We have a reality in our world today relative to our economy. Is it any coincidence that the financial crisis and subsequent restrictions follow the general chaos and upheaval that surround the hotspots and the conflict zones? The European Union has once again been confronted with a major terror attack. They've had a series of them in recent weeks and months. And the result is that these nations and others are coming down hard on cash. You say, what? What's one thing got to do with the other? Well, it's not just currency, coin of the realm, as they say. It's also gold and other valuables. Now, they're making a link between people able to finance terrorism and the cash and or gold that they have in their possession. And so in the European Union, they're making moves, taking steps to try to monitor a little more closely what people have and how they're using it. And when it comes to certain things, they want to seize it. For example, if you come into the European Union and you have too much silver, gold, or something like that, or you have coin of the realm in denominations that are high, like our $100 bills and that sort of stuff, they'll take them. The economic crisis is also working to make the cash a little tighter. We look at Venezuela, they're pretty much living hand to mouth. The people are eating garbage to stay alive. They've got nothing going for them down there. And it's not because they don't have income. They're an oil producing country. It's not the best oil, but they got a market. It's their government, communist, socialists, they destroyed it. India is having the same kinds of problems. We see it in Italy and in Greece, and to a lesser extent in Spain and some of the other EU countries. Why did the Great Britain get out of the EU? It was largely for financial reasons. And the recent report is that the British pound sterling has increased in value, that their economy is rebounding. What do you bet? There'll be more trying to get out of there. Germany has been financing this thing for decades now, and they're struggling, trying to figure out how they could get out. Or if everybody else got out, how could they preserve their financial well-being? Here in the United States, we're under economic pressure. Enormous amounts of debt by everybody, ordinary Americans, and by our government. The looming rise in interest rates, they've been holding it down for political reasons. But it's going to start coming up. It's practically zero. If I think it's negative, but it'll start coming up. It'll just go 2 points, and it'll change everything. There are a number of massive bursting bubbles that could explode at any minute into a major crisis. There are already tight restrictions on transferring, withdrawing, or crossing borders with large amounts of cash, and experts say even greater restrictions are coming. Earlier in 2016, former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers An architect of the last banking crisis penned an op-ed piece called "It's Time to Kill the $100 Bill." Harvard Center of Business and Government has just issued an important paper by senior fellow Peter Sands and a group of student collaborators. The paper makes a compelling case for stopping the issuance of high denomination notes like $500 euro notes and $100 bills, or even withdrawing them from circulation. IMF President Janet Yellen and several leading papers have all advocated these measures, and now these things are starting to happen around the world. Investing.com sees a global cash ban accelerating in 2017 and possibly impacting transactions at home in the United States. 2017 will shape up to be the year of the global cash bans, cash being restricted as a means of maintaining control over the citizenry. Long lines, withdrawal limits, capital controls will all define the use of cash during the crisis to come. I mentioned Venezuela. That is a crisis that has already happened. They have a good excuse. They were in the midst of an exploding hyperinflationary currency crisis, and they started pulling stuff off the market. They have now outlawed the 100 Bolivar banknote. That's the largest denomination in circulation. It gives the Venezuelans a very short time to deposit or exchange the bills before they're rendered worthless. In India, with 1.25 billion people, the government is forcing its poor people and backwards economy to conform to banking standards. Individuals have been forced to line up and deposit 500 and 1,000 rupee notes. Now, a 500 rupee note is worth about $7.50. A 1,000 rupee note is twice that, about $14.70. They are no longer legal tender in any transaction. Denominations that comprise over 80% of all outstanding bills. Most of these people don't have bank accounts, and the experts say this is a crisis on the way. Great Britain exited the EU. Their currency got better. Europe's already shifted largely into the digital sphere, and they're already targeting the influence of cash as part of its security strategy. There are heavy rumors that the euro could fall along with the EU superstate. Right now, the battles with terrorism, populism, migrant crisis, but all those things relate back to the whole. After the latest round of terror attacks in Berlin and across Europe, the European Union began to strengthen its checks on cash and gold with the idea that they could stop a lot of this. Reuters published a piece saying the European Commission proposed tightening controls on cash and precious metal transfers from outside the EU a couple of weeks ago. They wanted to shut down that route for funding the militant attacks. Under new proposals, customs officials in European Union states can step up checks on cash. People carrying more than 10,000 euros already have to declare this at customs when they enter the EU. The new rules would lower that number, so more and more amounts would become either suspicious or unlawful. Numerous nations, France, Spain, Denmark, Sweden, etc., have already banned cash for certain transactions. This is the year that we expect to start seeing policy pushes for complete bans on cash. Why would we do this? Well, the Bible tells us why we do this. The Bible explains to us how that at the end of the age, when the Great Tribulation comes about, that this is what's going to be happening. This is what the man of sin is going to begin to establish. But as the thing turns into the second half, the man of sin becomes now the brain freeze. He becomes the main villain in the story. I know it like I know my own name. I just can't think of it. And he's going to set up his own religion, and he's going to set up his own economic system, and he's going to require everybody to take the mark. And if you don't have the mark, then you die. Not only can you not buy and sell, but they'll hunt you down like a dog and cut your head off. Makes you think it might be Muslims, doesn't it? I don't know. This is where we're headed. And the Bible says that this is the way it's going to end. Everybody can scoff. Everybody can have their own little party and say, yeah, we've heard this for years. Look around. The world is rotating into a form that is represented by the words on those pages. Western society governs the world. It is a Western leader who comes in as this man of sin. Antichrist, that's the name. This man of sin comes in riding on a white horse. Not literally, but I mean, that's the imagery that we're given. And he's going to settle all these things, only it's not going to work. Coming right behind him is war. Coming behind the war is poverty and destruction and famine and all the rest of it. And coming along with that are natural disasters. A third of the landmass or the population of the planet dies. People have hypothesized that it's something from outer space. It just crashes into I don't know. They've also said that that's the Western Hemisphere, because Western Hemisphere is not discussed in eschatology, in the doctrine of final things. We don't know. But the Bible has predicted this stuff for the last 2,000 plus years. And we scoff and we like, you Christians, you run around, you do that. Look around, people. This is happening right in front of your face. And when they come for your money, don't be surprised.